the Indiana Hoosiers, the losingest team in the history of college football, have just won a national championship. And I'm here to talk about this historic season and maybe even some of my own doubts at the start of the year. But first of all, we got to give major props to Curt Cignetti, Fernando Mendoza, and the rest of this team that took belief really to the next level this season. They didn't listen to the haters. They didn't listen to the doubting. They just won the first national championship in school history. And truly an unreal season for this team. So quickly, we gotta take a look at some of these highlights from the game. This play right here from Fernando Mendoza on 4th and 5. Remember, they had just gotten stopped on a 3rd and 5, a missed pass in the end zone. Fernando takes the ball up the middle, a designed quarterback run, bounces off one guy here, absorbs 2 tacklers, spins out of it, and dives to the end zone. That play will live on in the history of Indiana football, and it was just so special for this Heisman-winning quarterback. And to have a chance to now win the national championship on the top of the Heisman, this is the last player that did that, Devontae Smith, for that 2021 Alabama team, 20 to 21 Alabama team. That was a great team, but this team 16-0, truly a special season. They kept throwing up on this ESPN graphic, the first team since 1894, but college football doesn't play 16 games, or hadn't since 1894. So just a truly unforgettable, undefeated season for this team, and just it's going to remain in the history books. This is going to be one. We look back here at this regular season. This team came off last year. We can look back here at 2024. So Curt Cignetti comes into this team from JMU after great seasons at JMU, but of course he's a 6-year-old coach. What is really his ceiling? What's this team's capability? All they did was win. All they did last year was win. Big wins: Nebraska 56-7, Northwestern, Maryland, Washington 31-17. They beat Michigan 20-15. You saw them get tested a little bit by Michigan's front line. They lost big to Ohio State, of course, the eventual champion. That was just a great team all around. And then they lost to Notre Dame again, where they had a little bit of a disadvantage at the line of scrimmage, and they just got beat by a better team. Curtis Rourke wasn't really up to snuff with some of the elite quarterback play that we saw. So what did they do? They went out and got the Heisman champion winning Fernando Mendoza and just led an unforgettable season here. And some close games, some blowout victories, but yeah, I want to take a look back here actually at one of the clips from Curt Cignetti when he got to Indiana. This is a clip I saw that appeared. It's a clip from him going to a basketball game when he was first announced as the head coach. We'll listen to this here. See if this can pop up. So he knew he needed that night, the basketball game. I'll turn off the subtitles here. He knew he needed to pump up this team. Never taken a backseat to anybody, and I don't plan on starting now. Trash talking Purdue, Michigan's, Ohio State. This guy was dedicated to Indiana football from the start. And I think that's just really such an incredible story. A guy that was trash talking, turning the Indiana program around in a trash talking Saban-esque manner, something that we've never really seen anyone else do in college football. And it was just a great season overall. I think one of the plays that everyone's going to remember is this play to keep the perfect season alive against Penn State. They fought back. This 3-5 Penn State team, yes, they're 3-5, but they have NFL players all over the field, and a team that talent-wise was better than Indiana. But they fought back on the road, and I think we really saw the competitive character. This Mendoza throw to Omar Cooper, just an unbelievable grab as he caught this ball. We'll see the replay here. We'll see the replay here as he grabs it. He goes up. He's getting pushed out of bounds by the Penn State defender and somehow keeps his balance. It takes everything he's got to get that toe in bounds and even the second foot in bounds as he makes the catch that saves their perfect season. this team truly is one of the great sports stories, one of the best turnarounds in the history of sports. And I think it goes without saying that Indiana has caught lightning in a bottle this season. Curt Cignetti is there. He's signed to an extension, but really to just do this for a season takes a whole nother level of luck, of consistency, of belief in your team. They met their match in Miami. I think one thing to note here is that I really loved this national championship because it felt like it was the two best teams in college football this season. There was all this talk about the playoff, about who was deserving of getting in, what teams maybe didn't deserve to get in. Miami got in. I didn't really have an issue with Miami getting in, but just the way that they had led up to that and the way that it went down was disappointing for a lot of fans. But we saw the best two teams in the national championship. No one else tested Indiana the way Miami did. They had a chance to win down in the end, and Indiana's defense came up strong, just like they have all season. So Indiana wins the national championship. Such an exciting moment for this school and this program. Looking back here, I wanted to look at some of the greatest turnarounds in sports history. We'll see if this article really loads. Yeah, a lot of these teams are teams that I didn't necessarily grow up with, teams that I couldn't really watch. Leicester City, 2016. I was not really looking at the Premier League then. San Francisco in 1979. San Francisco in 1981. After two struggling seasons, they win. St. Louis Rams. Boston Celtics. Yeah, the Boston Celtics were a big one. After having a terrible record, 24-58, they turned it around. But that team had a history of greatness, in the same way that the 49ers had a history of solid teams before that. New Jersey Nets, Eastern Conference champions, just nothing quite to the level of how bad Indiana was and how good they were this season. They completely flipped the script. And this really blows the expectations out of the water for any head coach coming in. Indiana didn't have that many resources. They weren't paying guys the most NIL money. They did this with a lot of guys, I think 12 guys from Curt Cignetti's JMU team that transferred over and played for this team to win this national championship. That is beyond impressive. We gotta clap it up. Let's give a round of applause here for this Cignetti team and these JMU guys that are outcompeting 5 stars, outcompeting first-round talent. Ruben Bain and Mensah were all over the field. I mean, those guys, they were NFL talent. They played like it. It's not like Miami didn't play a good game and this team won. Miami was a great, great team. A lot of people picked them to win. 3 out of the 4 game day guys picked them to win, but they did it. Indiana defied all the odds, just like they had all season. I don't think they would have wanted it any other way. Somehow they had maybe a 70-30 split in this national championship crowd setting. I mean, that shows how dedicated these fans are. They were willing to pay the $4,000+ price tag or find the backdoor ways to get tickets, as we all have. Those fans deserved everything that they got in that game last night. And it's sweet for the state of Indiana. It's sweet for Indiana fans that have just been privy to great basketball in their lives. But the great basketball has been long gone since the days really of Bob Knight, when those teams were dominant in the 80s or the 70s, 80s, and early part of the 90s here. So there were 22 players added in this portal season. I think we're seeing kind of a bit of a new shift with the way that Cignetti has done things in the portal. They added Pat Coogan from Notre Dame, a team that was in the national championship last year. Roman Hemby, Williams, Wheeler, Moore, Boykin, a lot of guys. A lot of questions over whether last season was a fluke. But this team, they've somehow caught lightning in a bottle even better this year. And we'll see if they can keep it going. Whether or not they do keep it going, though, it doesn't take away from just how great of a season this Indiana team had. Led by Fernando Mendoza, Hemby, Omar Cooper, Surratt, all these guys, it's a great season despite where Indiana ever goes. This year will be remembered in college football history, and despite all the trouble with the transfer portal, with NIL, with all the questions of recruiting in our timeline, we still got a great season. And I think that speaks to college football's ability to be a great sport. The rules don't have to be perfect. In fact, there's a million problems with the sport right now for college football. But there's great players that come through, and this is really the NFL's farm system. We know how great the NFL can be, how competitive, how just bought in these guys can be for their NFL teams, how much it means to the cities, but it takes a different form in terms of pride and pageantry in college football. And we were blessed with another fantastic college football national championship as the Indiana Hoosiers have won the first national championship in their school's history. Well deserving, and I can't wait to see Fernando Mendoza's LinkedIn post.